I'd like to introduce our salutatorian, a 3.9899899 GPA, Jeremiah Rowland.
Hello, friends, family, and graduates. Welcome to the class of 2016 graduation. I am your salutatorian, Jeremiah Rowland. This is the award you get for being almost perfect. Yes, I had one B. Mr. Shepard. I remember 4 long years ago, I walked in for my orientation. Afterward, I told my aunt, PTHS alumni, that even if I stayed here all 4 years, I would never find my way around the school. Well, I was quite wrong. I only get lost occasionally now. 4 years ago, I had no idea of the trials and tribulations I would face and the changes and decisions I would make during the next 4 years. Now, let me tell you something about these graduates. These graduates, my friends, are some of the toughest, most persevering kids that you will ever meet. We've been through a lot these last 4 years. I think if I was asked to take back some of the terrible things that have happened these past 4 years, it would be a very tough decision, but I don't know that I would. Sometimes the bad things that happen to us happen for a reason. Now, I'm going to tell you a bit about myself, and I'll explain why I believe that our graduates can do anything. Most of you, including teachers and graduates, likely do not know this side of me. It's rather thick, so bear with me. They say that high school is a time for changes, and it's true. There were changes. If you don't believe me, take a walk down into the men's locker room. Okay, seriously, you don't do that. But sure enough, like any freshman, I had no clue about the real serious changes that were coming. Now, when I was a freshman, my family was normal. At least, normal as family goes. My parents were married, and I lived with my brother Caleb. My dad was a former worker at R.R. Donnelly, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. But life quickly changed. In the fall of my freshman year, I received certainly the most world-shattering news that I have heard thus far. My mom had been diagnosed with breast cancer. My mom I loved and still love very much. I can't think of many things that I've heard that were quite as heartbreaking as this. I don't even quite remember the moment I found out. When you go through this kind of thing, you sort of get a selective memory. You start to forget the specific details of everything that happened. It wasn't but a blink of an eye until which my mom had a double mastectomy surgery and began her chemotherapy treatments. Meanwhile, my dad slowly slipped out of my life. I didn't understand what I do now about why this happened, but I can explain what I've learned in retrospect. My dad, as I said, was a former worker at R.R. Donnelly and worked to maintain binders until he was hurt at work when I was just a kid. As a result, he was permanently disabled with a back injury. Up until my freshman year, my dad seemed to be very interested in my life. He attended all my basketball games. Yes, I used to play basketball. And he seemed to be, for the most part, healthy and happy. As my mom got sicker, my dad disappeared. He stopped attending games. He stopped going out of the house, and he wanted to be left alone. Life was very different, very hard. Mom underwent her chemotherapy treatments and was slowly recovering. Her hair fell out and she seemed weak. It was so strange to me. When you're growing up, your mom is your superhero. Your mom doesn't get sick. She's always there, and she makes your boo-boos go away. It's hard to believe this was happening. Eventually, my mom completed her treatments and was deemed cancer-free, but life did not return to normal. My dad became more and more secluded. He missed some of my mom's major health treatments, including a lengthy surgery down in St. Joseph, where I felt very alone and very scared. Life certainly felt unfair. My dad didn't buy my mom a birthday cake in May for her birthday, so I mowed my grandma's yard so I could buy her a cake. I remember him crying after I gave it to him. This sort of thing continued through the beginning of my junior year. I discovered over the last few months that I lived with my dad that he had been prescribed a highly addictive pain medication called fentanyl. He slowly grew more and more dependent on this drug that he had used in order to shut out the world when life got rough. He pushed away all our friends and family. It was impossible to have anyone over, and heaven forbid he bothered him to do anything. Many nights were spent sleepless as a result of noises associated with his abuse. His cycle became so fierce that he would do anything to get the high. My family members and neighbors have been stolen from. People were taken advantage of and lied to. You often hear the stereotypical family with an addiction, with shutting people out, lying, etc. But what they don't tell you is how the addiction consumes every member of the family. It changes the way you think, the way you eat, the way you breathe. In August, after his second self-harm incident, he was forced to leave and my parents divorced. Throughout junior year and into senior year, I saw a return to normalcy. I battled depression and I tried to fight my memories and my feelings. By the end of my first semester of my senior year, I had it out with my mom and I moved in with my grandparents. I learned very quickly how to make adult decisions, like managing my money and working long hours while going to school. It was during all these trials that I saw refuge here. It was in these walls that I felt safe and could find happiness. I joined choir and learned to express myself through music. I found friends in my teachers. At this time, I'd like to give a special thanks to Mr. Durbin and Mr. Christie for always being there for me, good times and bad. For that, I cannot thank you enough, and I hope you know that my life will be forever better for having known you. Although I did get one B, I would certainly call my time at PTHS a big success. I was a part of many organizations such as NHS, Thespians, Tri-M, and Fee Club. I took some of the hardest classes our school offered and succeeded. I passed 3 AP exams. I earned 22 credit hours for the college I'm attending next year on a full tuition scholarship at the University of Alabama. I passed 2 dual credit classes and took 4 more AP exams this year. I got a 33 on the ACT. I was a state scholar and an all-state honors musician. I was in 4 musicals and 2 magical dinners. But this is just the tip of the iceberg of what I did in high school. It does not reflect the little things done in school. It doesn't account for the long nights working on papers, projects, and the hours spent studying for big tests like the ones we took in anatomy or calculus. Accolades don't account for these little things. So, I've had a rough go of it, but I made the best of it. And when I look at the class of 2016, I see a reflection of myself. I see a class that's been through a lot. We have had some tough times. It wasn't but a few weeks ago when we were wanted coming to school. We've had threats. We've had bad days. Some of us we had to leave behind. I know you're not here, but I still miss you, Ryan. It's been rough. It's been a rough 4 years. But we've made the best of it. This class has seen state fishermen, wrestlers, ag students, musicians, journalists, and many others I'm bound to forget. Our baseball team's been looking pretty good this year too. We've created P2D2, an Operation Endangered Species. We've given new life to Civil War veterans. We've stood up to bullying, hunger, and child abuse. And we've come together in our times of need. In the class of 2016, I see myself. The class of 2016 can do anything. No matter how bad it gets, it will always get better. No matter how bad it gets, we will come together and find a way to carry on and create. I expect the world from the class of 2016 because I know that we are so capable. And I know that no matter how bad things get for us, we will continue to strive for success. As the class of 2016, I'd like to thank our teachers and our administration for always being there for us in our times of need. I'd like to thank our parents, guardians, and community members for standing behind us and nurturing us to become as great as we can be. And lastly, I'd like to thank my fellow graduates for always sticking together and always being there for one another. Once again, please join me in welcoming the toughest, most persevering graduates to pass through these walls and congratulate them for achieving this momentous milestone.